a nice Oliva, a little scotch. Strap in. It's time for a conversation. Doge has struck and it's driving the county crazy. The chief financial officer came in, gave a press conference, and said the county is wasting $39 million. He then went ahead and explained where it's at, the growth of the staff. They have grown the staff by over 200 plus positions, and even discounting for the 60 plus positions for emergency responders and such, it was still well over 200 positions in 6 years. 6 years, mind you, not 10, 20, or 30, 6 years. Those like me look at what he said as an aha moment. This basically says now we know where to look for the increased spending in government. The growth of government staff is the cause of the majority of this. Now, those who did not like what the CFO was saying basically are in two camps. Radical Democrats who do not like the CFO because, well, he's a Republican, like Jim and the Chronicle team, and even other community leaders. They came out and they hate the fact that he pointed this out right in front of the commissioners. It's not like he was trying to hide it or sneak it in. He was very upfront with this information and gave great examples, like the fact that the county has only seen a 10% growth of individuals, and yet during the same time, our county budget has exploded. Surprisingly, the other group are Republicans who normally speak out against the Democrats and their wasteful spending. They were basically offended on behalf of some of the elected officials because the CFO came out right in front of them, laid this fact out. Both of these groups, the radical Democrats in this county and the Republicans who are directly tied with some of the Republican elected officials, called on the information to be released, basically saying they wanted the audit and things like that. But the key information was released during the CFO's press conference. The only problem is he told them about the massive growth in government and they didn't like it. And the fact that this caused the budget to explode over the last 6 years when the growth of this government happened for a total of $39 million unnecessarily spent for the increase of staff. And I think they're embarrassed because it wasn't them identifying it. It actually had to be the CFO. Our CFO had to come in and do the job that the county commission suggested be done early on in President Trump's election when he was doing Doge. They suggested Doge be done here locally. Well, now it was done. $39 million. And they're unhappy about it. Now, I did my own research on this using AI. Looked over the budgets since that time. Now, each budget has how many staff, or full-time equivalent is what they're called, how many staff were employed each year, and what the increase was each year by department. So I, on my own, now knowing where to look, am able to go into the county budgets retroactively and see, you know what? Damn, the CFO was 100% correct. Will these same leaders that said we want the audit, or I don't believe this is true, will they actually do the research themselves? Commissioner Finnegan said, hey, we're going to look into this. Well, Commissioner, here's what you do. You get all of the last 6 budgets, look at all of the staffings by department, and what you're going to be able to say on the dais is, damn, Chief Financial Officer Blaise Ingoglia was 100% telling the truth. And this is why transparency matters. It took me no more than 15 minutes on my own, 15 minutes, no staff, no nothing, 15 minutes to take all that documentation, go through AI, drill down into it, and get the fact that he is right on these positions. And if I can do it by myself on my porch with a good cigar and a good drink, then I know that the elected officials should be able to do the exact same thing. The question is, will they? Thankfully, there is a new piece of legislation that passed this year that will mandate that the counties have to put on the budget in a searchable format. It also mandates that they have to have the proposed budget also put online before it's presented to the commissioners. This also includes what staff, not who in the staff, but what staff by position actually is getting paid. Great, good step. And the fact that it's searchable is even better. Next thing should be what I'm calling the Citrus County Sunshine Ordinance. When passed, this ordinance would put not only the budget online and the proposed budget and the positions as suggested by the law that has recently passed, but in addition, it would actually require them to put on what they spend. See, not only do we need to know what the budget is, how many positions, what the position is being paid, and know what the proposed budget is going forward, we should also know what they're spending it on. Now, this is not that high tech of a thing. It's simply moving data from one place to another. And since they're already going to have a website in accordance with the new law that is searchable, how much harder can that be? Well, doing some analysis, come to find out, yes, it will cost money, but not millions, not even hundreds of thousands. By using staff to do this already, you can have this done in a relatively conservative way. This will be the most transparent ordinance, making Citrus County the most transparent county in the state. But we should know everything, to include the spending on consultants. And there should be accountability. This should be done both quarterly with spending, should be added to the web page, and all those other items I described should also be on the page. We need to have accountability. How do we do accountability when it comes to government? Because no bureaucrat is ever held accountable. What you do is, when they do not meet the metrics of putting it on there, i.e. the county administrator, it must be recorded in the minutes that he failed to do so, and he must come up with a plan to address the issue. This does two things. It, one, puts it right in front of the commissioners to comment on. Two, it puts it in front of the citizens to know that either their government is doing well and providing the transparency and information that we need to have, or it shows that our administrator could potentially be doing a great job or could be just absolutely failing. That's why the Sunshine Ordinance, the Citrus County Sunshine Ordinance, would be a great tool of transparency for all of us to be able to have. Anybody who's out there who wants to know how much the budget is, where's it going, and what's the cost of everything, having that is a benefit to the county, is a benefit to the citizens. And since it is our money and there is no free lunch, shouldn't we know? Because every additional dollar is taken from us and spent by the government is money I don't have or you don't have in your pocket to build your prosperity at home. And don't forget, a key thing is we need less government spending and more revenue coming from the community. What would the Citrus County Sunshine Ordinance include? A single searchable web page with all the information for citizens to have full transparency of their government. It would have annual budget requests from the department level. So, what is the department actually asking for, and what is the administrator actually presenting as a budget? That would allow us to know the budget down to the sub-object level. Yes, meaning everything. And we have the technology to do it. It is out there. And they can take full advantage of AI because there is government-approved AI. They can use the advantage of AI to gather all that data to make it searchable. We need to know quarterly what our tax dollars are being spent on. So quarterly should be posted all the expenditures for that year. And yes, I mean all. Again, they're inputting it in a digital format. Why not simply transfer that information over to a searchable web portal that they're already going to legally be required to have? We need to know how much are they paying the consultants? So every single consultant, not just the big ones, the little ones, every single consultant and the fees for those consultants should be listed equally on a searchable webpage. This should all be one large webpage. And this will ensure compliance because whenever the administrator is not in compliance with all the requirements of the Citrus County Sunshine Ordinance, they then would, by this ordinance, be required to put it into the minutes of each and every meeting, meaning it would have to be recognized by the county commissioners that the administrator failed to do his job. But I would hope that also in the future, there would be an ordinance that directly ties the growth of our spending with the growth of our revenue. And I don't mean our revenue that's coming from homes because, well, truthfully, citizens cost more than they pay. That's a true statement. But our spending increase should be directly tied to the growth of revenue from business and industry. This would allow us to understand the people who are paying in more than they're taking out are actually able to fund the needs of the county. Because if you grow the county based on the citizens, you'll never be able to keep up unless you massively increase the taxes. This would be a way to ensure that when businesses come to the county, there is a friendlier attitude towards them because they know the county needs the money. And I'm not saying give businesses a blank check, let them do whatever they want. But damn it, we already know that our county is not business friendly. And in this will hopefully change that attitude. And lastly, we need to change the mentality of our elected officials. Listen, again, I've said it before, no free lunch. It's not their money. It's not government's money. It's our money. Even when it comes from businesses, we're the ones who are spending the money at the businesses. So it's our money down to every single penny. It's our money. Our elected officials really do need to recognize that. And that's part of where the Sunshine Ordinance, the Citrus County Sunshine Ordinance, would put the pressure on our elected officials to be open and transparent so that we can call them out on wasteful spending, just like the CFO did with Doge. Spending. This was the big thing with Doge. We know for a fact, though, without Doge, spending in this county has gone out of control. Spending. This is one of the key things about Doge, be it the federal or when the CFO came in. But it seems that the county does not understand, the county administrator nor the county commissioners, that we are spending more than the revenue that is coming in. And even though it's not enough, they continue to increase spending. From consultants to spending money on a park right next to a park, it's an unwillingness to focus on the spending. We really, really have this problem in the county to where even though the rollover rate is going down, now the rollover rate is annually, there's money left over from the proposed previous budget, and they roll that into the next year's spending. It has gone down. And matter of fact, one of those very expensive consultants we paid for said that there's only $14 million left annually in the rollover, and that will go away by 2030, 4 years from now. But think of things like the animal shelter. I had a conversation the other day with somebody about the animal shelter and how the conversation about spending and the multiple buildings should have been done previously. He's not wrong. It should have been. But like I explained to him, having these multiple buildings increases the cost of maintenance. The increased cost of maintenance means less money to actually take care of the animals that you're going to put in this shelter. So it's great that you want a shelter. I support it. Many people do. But the reality is the way you're building it actually not only makes the building itself more costly, but the long-term cost increases. So this is one of the things that we see they spend and they don't think about the long-term outcomes of the spending that they do. Now, I'll tell you, again, I've said this before in another video, Chairwoman Finnegan brought this up and wanted to have a discussion. But if you watch these meetings, what you'll find out is Nobody really wants to have a true conversation about the spending. They need to have an entire day workshop about the proposed or tentative budget. Go through every single detail, question absolutely everything. Not just a presentation, not just an hour, but an entire day. Go in there and argue about the minutia. Oh, that's not our job. That's the administrator's job. That's why we hire him. It doesn't matter because we've seen government grow, and under this administrator, nobody has ever really questioned it. And when they have, it's always been at the higher levels. But we need the commissioners to have detailed, just absolute conversations, question all the spending, and then actually point out to the administrator what you agree with and what you don't. And again, they say it's not our job, that's the administrator's job. No, you are our representatives, and people are calling for this and have for decades. We need detailed information about the budget to be discussed by our county officials, by our elected officials, not just presented and approved upon as has happened in the past. That's how, as the CFO appropriately pointed out, we grew in 6 years over 200 plus positions. But the problem is, we know for the most part, and we sat here and we watched the commissioners for the most part, not having a discussion. They couldn't even have a discussion on the animal shelter, and they should have done it long ago. Absolutely. But we seem not to be able to have our elected officials have either studied the budget, done deep dives, asked for more information, and actually go in there and either fight for why we should have that spending or fight for why we shouldn't have that spending. No, we have this, let's all just get along and be nice and we'll approve it. Oh, every once in a while they'll see a little something they don't like. And, and the county administrator is smart enough because he's been in government. He knows there's enough of a gap. Oh, yeah, we'll get rid of that. No problem. And he knows they won't do a deep dive. When I was a county commissioner, I asked for more information than anybody else, and I got chastised for it. But it should be something that all of our elected officials do every time the budget is brought forward. And can you really call yourself a conservative if the county budget is not really looked at? If you're not trying to restrain spending, if you're not trying to restrain the growth? That's why next time when the budget comes forward, get off the damn dais, go to a building and sit down and ask questions. Yes, you can make it open to the public. Go to the county auditorium or something like that so more people can come in. But spend the entire damn day going through each and every department. Not why do we need this staff? No, why is this happening? Where's the money going for that? You know what? Increase the cost. Well, you know what? This is above the cost of inflation. Why are we spending this much more money? These are questions that can be asked, that should be asked, that quite often are not asked. It's time for our elected officials to step up and actually start doing the job the people hired them to do. The Land Development Department has a new policy. So anybody who has a house that's being done on the water has to submit a plan in reference to how they're going to manage the water. Here's the thing. They're now making the people have these plans notarized. Now, having the individuals have the plans notarized. Why? The builder and the individual do not need to notarize. There is no legal requirement to notarize the plans. When an engineer draws these plans for stormwater management, that engineer's signature is the legal signature saying this fits in the county requirements. Bar none, it is okay to go. They are responsible. So why have the individual and the builder have the plans notarized? Having it notarized basically is an undue burden. It also has a back door to allowing the county to go back out and check to see if anything changed. So when you notarize a document and you say, I'm going to do X, if anything changes, then what you notarized or swore to on that document, you're then held accountable for if it changes. So let's say you make a minor modification to your land and it somehow is out of the requirements for the original plans that were drawn. Now, they can come in and make you do it all over again. See, this is the trick of the county. They know nobody's paying attention to the little things that they make them do, the burdens. But basically, this is increasing the control of the county government over individuals. So much for property rights. So if I want to modify my land and maybe put a fire pit sitting area for outside, and I change that and the flow of the water changes, well, guess what? For history, nobody gave a damn. But now, if it's notarized, they'll have the ability to go, well, you notarized that this is what it was. You changed it. Now you have to resubmit. And it puts people in violation. So the county is literally increasing the burden on individuals, bypassing the fact that the legal signature of the engineer is all it's needed, and then allowing them to have the control to basically come out and force you to put it back how it was. Do you see what's happening in our county? Our land development department is being run by people who literally are making up rules as they go. This is not coming from the county commission as the amendment to an ordinance. This is literally the land development department unnecessarily increasing these requirements for no reason at all. Because if there was a reason, they would bring it to the county commission. The county commission would then hear an ordinance and then approve the ordinance and then move forward on it. That's how government's supposed to work. Not in Citrus County. Land development department, damn it, they'll do as they want. Some of the elected officials, well, they're getting nervous. Oh, yes. I'm feeling the pressure. You really shouldn't talk about that. That's just making the lives harder on county commissioners. I don't care. The pressure that we are now bringing to bear by highlighting more of this, because we want a government that actually is there for the people, is important. And if our elected officials are feeling the pressure that we're bringing to bear about these issues, then good. Because from the lack of discussion, the lack of transparency, I'm still waiting on some public records request, and things like that, bringing this stuff up through the medium of engaging on the socials has allowed us to really start making the elected officials concerned about the things that they do. And that's the intent of all this. Me, CJ, Sabrina, and all the rest who are bringing to light these issues, regardless of how we do it, is exactly what our founding fathers wanted us to do. Not at the federal level only, or even at the state level only, but here at home. We talk about local government. But I can tell you, for years, local government has basically gotten a pass on all the bad things they do. People have short memories. They forget. Those of us who are out here providing transparency and putting sunshine on the issues of our broken government here in Citrus County is exactly part of why our founding fathers revolted in the first place. They want to redress their grievances, and when they were ignored, they revolted. Well, here's the thing. We're coming up on America's 250th anniversary. What is that anniversary based off of? The unwillingness of the government, the King of England, to redress the grievances of the citizens of America. And it was even as little as a couple cents tax on tea and a few other things. These are the kind of things that started a revolution. And then you look at what Doge did by showing we're wasting $39 million by blowing up our government, or the fact that our population only grew by 10%, yet our budget blew up, massive increase. So me and the others will do this. We'll continue this good fight. But here's what I'll ask of you. If you press that like button on this video or their videos or their posts, we need you to share it. Share it on your timeline. Tag your friends. Share it on other pages so they can see it too. The government should and can be ran more effectively. And it's time for the citizens to speak up. And the way for you to speak up is simply like, comment, and share these posts to make sure that more people know that there are people out there who are trying to lead this fight to improve Citrus County's government. Time to finish that cigar. Time to finish that drink. And y'all have a good day.